Hello ladies and gents, and welcome to No Drama Just Movies Rapid Reviews. So, I watched Wicked for Good recently, and I had some thoughts. Right off the bat, this felt, especially at the beginning, a bit more like Wicked Light. The first one was built on the relationship between Elphaba and Glinda. They are perfect foils for each other, so it was great to see them interact and affect each other. Here, I think they're not coming face to face until about an hour into the movie. Yes, they each have good individual scenes. I especially liked Ariana Grande's shift in delivery in I Couldn't Be Happier, because it hinted at the history she has with Fiyero and Elphaba and the sadness that comes with it. But the movie really picked up for me when they were together again. I loved, for example, Elphaba's and Glinda's scene at the house when Nessa died. It showed how complex their relationship is. There's still a friendship there, strained by public opinion, and now strained by the love triangle too. And all that coming out of the initial unadulterated loathing. It's fascinating to watch. I love the scene where both Elphaba and Glinda find out that Fiyero is gone. Although it did raise a question. Didn't Glinda speak to Fiyero as the Scarecrow while she was telling Dorothy and her companions where to go? We see later that he still kind of looks like himself, enough that Elphaba recognized him. So why didn't Glinda recognize him? The final scene between Elphaba and Glinda, the For Good, is beautifully written and acted. The choice of staying with Glinda as Dorothy confronts Elphaba was great. This way, we see this moment through the eyes of someone who truly knew Elphaba and loved her, which preserves the tragedy of her cruel demise. Acting-wise, there were some solid performances here. Yeoh does a much better job singing. After the animals escape in the wizard's castle, Yeoh says, "Blame the witch," and she delivers it with a very fitting tone of automatic response, almost as if blaming Elphaba has become a standard answer to everything. Goldblum is peak Goldblum. The ultimate Goldbluming he does after Elphaba asks him to set the flying monkeys free was very funny. He fills the silence with sounds of hesitation and gestures, never letting the tension drop. And then there's Ariana Grande. It feels like the bubbly, airy princess is gone, replaced by a sad shell that still occasionally manages to pretend. She gets quite a few moments to show sadness and grief. When the camera stays on her after Fiyero and Elphaba run off together, you can see the turmoil in her eyes. She is hurt by her best friend's and her fiancé's betrayal, wrestling with the thought of telling the bad guys how to find her, and involving Nessa with that. Speaking of Nessa, I can see how she could eventually go from this positive, innocent woman to this actual evil governor. But it felt rushed, skipping over important plot points. It actually reminded me of Daenerys' heel turn in the final season of Game of Thrones. Remember that one? Nessa's death by House would have been more tragic if we had seen the corruption of that innocence. And speaking of rushing, I wanted more from the transformation of Bok and Fiyero. Maybe that's just me, but there's a chance of leaning further into the absolute body horror of this, and it felt like that's what they were trying to go for. Imagine something closer to the transformation in An American Werewolf in London. It should be painful and terrifying. That way, we would understand better when Bok turns against Elphaba. There's still a bit of horror when Nessa hears Bok through the door after his transformation. The way he hacks at the door is reminiscent of Nicholson in The Shining. But for Fiyero, we barely get anything, so the idea that Elphaba turns him into the Scarecrow to save him doesn't make as much sense if we don't see what she's saving him from. Overall, this film was good, TM. After an initial hurdle, which made the first hour or so drag a little for me, it brings Glinda and Elphaba back together, and it doesn't let off from there. Just don't expect a jolly ride. There's no popular or what is this feeling. It is a bit grimmer than Wicked, but I enjoyed it for that. The stakes are suitably raised, and the characters are put through the ringer. Let us know in the comments what you thought. What did you like? What didn't you like? Especially if you've seen the stage musical. And where do you think this will go if they make more? There are still some books in the series, and I felt that Glinda's story wasn't quite finished yet. And that's all. Roll credits.